Good morning. So it's 9:01 a.m. straight up. I guess maybe the second hand straight up at 9:01, but it wasn't. A little bit of a late start by 1 minute, but I was scrambling to for the last 40 minutes to get the finishing touches on this presentation. I had intended to change the name of today's show because I have what I think to be an interesting presentation. I'm going to check on audio here. Presentation. I'm going to check on audio. Yes, so you are hearing me. And let's see, is that showing up blurred? That is that blurry? Oh, maybe it's just because, yeah, the quality was low for me, so now that should mirror out good. Yeah. So I'm going to pop out chat and make sure everything's going okay before I start telling today's story. What I wanted to do, and just didn't get around to it yet, is to title today's presentation as a troubleshooting a sluggish network computer. And what I've been doing through the last 40 minutes or so is putting some blurs onto video of two of my clients' computers that show this sluggishness symptom. So before I do that, I'm going to go check and see here what's going on in chat. Dennis, to me, confirmed your last encrypted location is inside bowling alley. Okay, that has to do with Fortnite, so I'm not going to read the rest of that here. I'll catch up on that later. Brian Lightfoot, a bartender, says, we don't serve time travelers in here. A time travel walks into a bar. Wait a minute, what? A bartender, oh, okay, I get it. A bartender says, we don't serve time travelers in here. A time traveler walks into a bar. So the time travel thing here is it's swapped. He gave the punchline before the introduction of the story. I got it. Congratulations. From Nick Poverman, a weasel walks into a bar. The bartender says, what can I get for you? Pop, goes the weasel. It's a soda pop. Pop goes the weasel. Get it? Do you get it? I got it right away. Greg says, is anyone here using iOS AirPrint to print invoices from their iPhone? Want to know how long it takes from the time you tell the iPhone to AirPrint the invoice until your printer prints the invoice? Yeah, I have not done that. I would think it could take a little while. And if the AirPrint is working through, I think, does that work through, that works through Wi-Fi signals, but I think direct to the printer. I don't think it goes through your Wi-Fi network. Not real sure on that. I've tried to steer clear of AirPrint and wireless printing in clients' offices, so I don't have experience with it. Nick to Greg, it all depends upon the Wi-Fi speed. I've done this at work. It is seconds at home. It takes almost a minute. It is seconds at home. It takes almost a minute at work, I presume. This person doesn't use a computer at work, only his phone. He's complaining the 15 seconds to print an invoice from the phone to the brother printer is slower than before. Okay, so if it's slower than before, same equipment, same printer, same Wi-Fi, and it's slower now, I'd be looking for things, heavy Wi-Fi traffic. I see a lot of blinking going on. Restart all the devices involved, including whatever wireless devices are involved, a wireless router if that's involved. Was at their location, updated firmware on printer, check other settings, and no improvement. Didn't say anything there about having restarted all the devices, and consider what other devices are sharing that Wi-Fi signal, and is there Wi-Fi interference from some other devices. Hello to Ida. In my case, it depends on how far the Wi-Fi router, anywhere from 30 seconds to 3 minutes. Now that would be presuming that the signal is going through the Wi-Fi at the location rather than wireless printing direct to the printer, because I think some printers have direct wireless printing. In one test, the router was 15 away. In my books, it's working. Forget about having to wait 15 seconds and get on with life, but not this person. Now, I'm going to be showing a symptom here where it's kind of similar with my client. He's got several seconds of delay in a particular task, but he does this so many times per day that it's just driving him nuts. Nick to Greg, I said, at home it takes me over a minute to print AirPrint, sometimes on big files. Yeah, the size of the file would be bigger or take longer. What this employee can do in 15 seconds of his life remind me of that Prince song, You're Never Satisfied. Nick to Greg, open a ticket with Apple or go on their forums or just wait it out. Are you sure it's AirPrint and not direct print? Yeah, so really get fine-tuned on what is the printing, and maybe completely disable, disconnect, disassociate the AirPrint and recreate it from scratch. Greg to Ida, he wanted me to come out to his business, which I did for 2 hours and billed him for it. Yeah, he is phoning Apple himself. Yeah, because I can understand that. I can these things where people want to save seconds take us a lot of time to try to find a solution, and then we might fail. Greg to Nick, well, I see it on my iPhone, so does another employee when we select print from an iOS app. Well, I see it on my iPhone, and so does another employee when we select. So both two other phones besides the client is seeing the same symptom. So now you're going to be looking at things from the printer or from whatever wireless system that you're going through, if you're going through the wireless router. So it could be as simple as restarting the wireless router, whatever wireless access point is involved, getting closer to it, so on. Ida, if it's paid, that's fine. Whatever the customer wants and pay is completely right. Well, this comment up here about, yeah, he's phoning Apple himself kind of makes me think that the client's not happy about being billed for the 2 hours without getting the result. So he's going to make the phone call himself. This person also has a brother printer at home, different model, and his wife said it has the same delay, which is understandable. The point about it used to be faster, do you really trust anybody for saying that? Would I trust myself for saying it used to be faster, or is it just that it bothers me more now? Brian, some helium floats into a bar. The bartender says, sorry, we don't serve noble gases here. The helium doesn't react. Okay, I got both of those. Helium floats into a bar. We don't serve noble gases. There's helium. Helium is, somehow the word noble applies to that. And the helium doesn't react, as in gases reacting. Yeah, I just want to find out other experiences with AirPrint, as it seems I'm going out again. This time we'll be talking to Apple's senior advisor. Oh, so he's paying you to have the conversation with the Apple advisor. That is very, very sensible. I like that he's letting you do that conversation, because end users are not good with talking to a senior advisor. So that's great. I don't have, I have Apple iPhone, but I do not want to print from a phone to a printer. I found out that 15-45 seconds common delay when print via Wi-Fi. Who knows what updates happen to the printer or remote connecting device. Now, what we don't know, I don't know at this point, how often does this person print invoices? They could be printing 100 times a day, depending upon what business they're in. I don't recall being told how often this person does that. Nick to Greg, sorry, got a call, don't know much about AirPrint. Jeff, good morning all. So sorry it took so long for my keystrokes to show up in chat. Here's another joke. You know what? I'm going to move on to my story and catch up with these later, because I don't want to get too far into this. And I do have a redirect to Ken Stout's premiere today. So the end of this video, if you have auto redirect turned on, then you'll automatically get redirected. That's this slider switch right here, autoplay, not auto redirect, autoplay. If you have this turned on, then it will automatically redirect to Ken Stout's show. Otherwise, you would have to click in the chat at the top of the chat room when that message comes up. Now, I'm coming back over to here so that I can bring up this video. What I'm about to do is show you a video that shows on the left side the computer that has the problem symptom. On the right side is the computer that is working well. I'm going to go ahead and bring this up on screen and give you some description about it before I hit the play button. It's only a few seconds of play, but I want to show you what you're going to be scene and explain some things about it. Oops, I see that I need to do one more blur. Yep, I sure do. So you're going to have to bear with me for a moment. This is real computers from a chiropractor office, so I do have to be careful about it. And let's see, so I'm going to go to workspace theme split mode, so that when this comes up in split mode in my XSplit, then that gives me a chance to do the extra blur before I show it to you. So if I punch this button, you still see me, and that'll give me the chance to do the extra blur that I need. Let's go over here. I've got to add another blur source because I've already run out of blur sources. This is a big deal to get all this done. So I'm going to do another scene and Big Beast 1 blur, and then I've got to make that full size. Come on, drag for me, baby. Drag for me. Why are you not dragging for me? Move this one down. There. And then I should be able to expand it. Oh, I see what's going on. I got to do this piece. All right, you're just going to have to live with this taking a little while. Click there. And then down here, I need to get that corner. Oh boy. Ah, wrong corner. There we go. There we go. And then expand this guy. Is this accomplishing it? I hope this is accomplishing it, because if it's not, yeah, it is. I don't know. I must have a dozen blurs in this scene today. I hope I got everything covered. Oh, good grief, Miss Molly. All right, here we go. Push live. Now, on the left-hand side is the computer that has the problem. On the right-hand side is the computer that does not have the problem. The computer on the left side is much faster. Much newer computer than the one on the right side. So the computer that's slow in this process is newer, faster, beefier computer all the way around. The one on the right side is very slow. Now I'm probably going to be telling stories about this over the next number of days, because after I finish today's show, I'm going out to this office and I'm going to do a total wipe and reload on the computer that's having the problem, and see if a fresh install of Windows will work correctly. We are looking at, what you see here is a software program called ChiroTouch. That's a spam call. And it's for a chiropractor's office. Both of these computers are showing the same patient's records. Now you're not going to see any detail about the patient. You're not going to see the patient's name. You're not going to see any of the detail about the patient. But I have this video paused at a certain point here. On the left-hand side, you see the mouse arrow just about to click on that copy button on the left side. On the right side, the mouse arrow is about to click the copy button. And what we're looking at is how long does it take for the next screen to come up. The next screen that's going to come up is going to be a list of dates that we want to copy from. And this is the most significant place to show the problem that's happening on the problem computer. Remember, the problem computer is more powerful, faster, more memory, faster drive, all around. It is substantially beefier because the computer on the left uses Dragon Naturally Speaking. That's why we want it to be very powerful. The computer on the right, which runs ChiroTouch fine, is a low-equipped computer, which is fine. ChiroTouch doesn't need a very powerful computer. The only reason this client has a powerful computer is for Dragon Naturally Speaking. Now, this problem occurred when they had a power outage. They had a power outage in the building, and the next day, that's when this user, the doctor, started complaining about this symptom, and it was a big difference from one day to the next. Power outage. So I have done probably for about a week or more. I've been trying various different things. Today, he's not going to be in the office, so I have the first opportunity to do a wipe and reload on his computer. I've already done a full Macrium Reflect restore of the image of his hard drive from a week before the power failure. So it's making me think, is there actually hardware damage? But everything else works well on this computer. It's only at this step that I'm about to show that we have the most significant delay, and he does this many times during the day. So it's a problem for him. All right, so I'm going to click the play button. This mouse on the left is going to click, and the mouse on the right is going to click. And they'll happen at almost the same instant. But the next screen comes up pretty quick on the right side, comes up pretty slow on the left side. I'm giving you, this is the baseline, this is the starting point where we're starting from. Later today, I'm going to do the wipe and reload and see how the computer on the left performs with a fresh install. Okay, here I'm going to click the play button. There, both were clicked. Right side's up. Waiting for the left side, waiting for the left side, waiting for the left side. Big beefy computer on the left side has not come up yet, waiting. There it is, finally. That is my baseline. That is the place that I am using to determine whether I've fixed it or not. Same patient, same data being copied. Now, these weren't happening at the same time. I recorded these at separate times, and when I was doing this on each of these computers, they were the only computer in the office that was in operation, because nobody else was in the office at the time that I was recording these. So I recorded these two remote sessions. These were remote. I was connected remotely to the computers. I recorded these and then spliced them together and did editing and Adobe Premiere, and then exported that, and then I realized there was more blurs I needed to do, so I did those blurs in XSplit. What do you think about that? I've already done a lot of things. I've tried an Ethernet cable direct from the router, not a switch, from the router to this workstation, which bypassed several other pieces of equipment. The server that's involved is also connected directly to the router. So the router has an Ethernet cable that was going to the server and another Ethernet cable going to a network switch. From that network switch, the Ethernet cable is going through the walls in the office to a wall outlet. Then a wall outlet was connecting to a hub that was mounted inside the doctor's desk, and then an Ethernet cable from that hub to his computer. So by running an Ethernet cable direct from the router to his computer across the floor and having the same symptom, I eliminated all of those intermediaries as being the culprit. Fresh restart of the computer, never load Dragon, none of the other computers working in the office. The doctor's computer is still slow. The doctor can go to one of the other computers in the office, the low-powered computers, and actually do his work, patient after patient after patient, and it works quickly. What else have I done here? I'm going to go over into chat and see what you guys are thinking and saying about this. And go live. Come down to the bottom and see what you're saying about the bottom. What about the router? Did you try a different port on the router? Well, that I just described, yeah, because I was plugged into, originally the doctor's computer is actually going through the hub in the desk, through the wall, to a switch, into the router. So now I have his computer, for this test I plugged his computer into a port on the router that was previously not used. but the server is still connected to its same port. That should be okay because the other computers work fine. I wonder if Dragon has a problem since both computers run the same basic software, just the problem computer has Dragon on. Yes, Dragon is installed on the computer but not launched. We restart the computer, don't launch Dragon, and have the same symptom. Now, when I do the fresh install of Windows today, I will not install Dragon. I'll go straight to CheiroTouch and test it without Dragon ever having been installed or any of his other software. Nick Poverman, bad Nick, or Nick software. Yes, that's on my mind too. There's several other things I could do today before doing a wipe and reload. And if I had more days where his computer's not available to me to do a wipe and reload, I might do some of those other things. So I was thinking about replacing the network adapter or plugging in a USB Wi-Fi adapter. I tried his internal Wi-Fi adapter, but it wouldn't even hold a signal very long. So that's a valid idea. But because I have time today to do a wipe and reload, I don't want to delay anymore. I can do the wipe and reload and in fairly short amount of time. If that does solve the problem, then I'll go ahead and continue rebuilding the computer. If it's a bad network card, I should still have the problem. If there's some other hardware in the computer damaged, I should still have the problem. If I do a wipe and reload and the and CheiroTouch works well, I don't mind rebuilding the rest of his computer because he doesn't use much of anything else. I will have to install Microsoft 365, which he rarely uses, and install Dragon. Before doing the wipe and reload, I will do an export of his Dragon profile to the backup drive, which is internal in the computer. Now, this is another thing that I'm concerned about, is that we have a second drive in the computer internally, and that's our backup drive. How about if I disconnect that backup drive? Could that be causing something? It doesn't seem to make sense because this is just a network function. However, maybe everything about this computer is slowed down, but the only place we notice it is during this activity. Do I have a weird thing showing up in the upper left of the screen right now? Do you see a little extra chat window up there? Yeah, you do. That's weird. What's that about? Where does that come from? Oh, I see what that came from. Here. Does that fix it? No, that didn't fix it. That took me away. Here. That one fixes it. There we go. Okay. Dave's Garage. Try the same comparison again with Task Manager open and check the throughput on the network adapter. That is another possible thing to do. There's many little things like that I could try doing, but they don't give me as much bang of results for the time involved. And they can be a little more nebulous. I was also thinking about using Wireshark to see what's going on with the network packets, because it seems to be, it's a problem at the server. But is it possible that everything on this computer is slow and the only place we notice it is during this particular function? What about a USB to NIC adapter? USB to Ethernet, I think is what you're referring to there. That's also another possibility. Let's see. Yes, could be flaky NIC drivers. Dave's Garage. Yes, I also like it. Let's see. I'm just trying to see other things. I think there's a storage issue. The event viewer for disk errors. I have checked the disk. It shows up fine. No problems in under a Crystal Disk Mark, Crystal Disk Info. It all looks to be fine. And this is not a storage action because this isn't something that's coming from his drive. This is coming from the server. It's an action where the server sends this list of dates. So it's not needing to write that to his drive. So is there a problem with the server's drive? If there was, then the lesser capable computers should also be having the same symptom. So I don't think that's it. Could the power outage and then coming back on a surge have caused some problem to operating system files on his computer? It seems odd that it would be so specific to this action, although once again, everything on his computer might be slow but because it's such an overpowered computer by comparison to the other computers, the only place we notice it is in this function. What about the router? Well, let's see, I already read that. Now, another thing is, I don't think I have restarted the router. But then that also, if it's a problem at the router, the other computers should have that same symptom. I assume the info is coming from another computer on the network. Yes, it is a server operating system, Windows Server operating system, without Active Directory. It only functions as a peer server, but it had to be a network operating system because the ChiralTouch software requires that. Let's see, got that. Let's get down here and see towards the end. It's a tab preview. No, that was not a tab preview. That was a blur, an extra blur scene. The one that I turned on at the beginning of this show, that's what that was. So that shows a very small window of whatever I have on monitor 1. And the process is, as I have to expand it, that causes the blur, and then crop it down to its small thing. But yeah, I understand it looked like a tab preview, but it wasn't. Did you try to ping that computer on the network and see if it gets drops? I have done similar things that show that there's not a communication problem between this computer and the server. I did not do it with a ping. And again, that's another thing that I could try before doing a wipe and reload, but that test just hasn't given me as much bang for the buck, particularly since this is my first opportunity and a very convenient opportunity for me to do the wipe and reload. But of course, if I still have the same problem, I would be looking at that. I'd also run a speed test on the affected computer. If the test is successful, then it's not a hardware fault. So I did do internet speed tests, and it's fine. What else? Could be do a performance test, but nothing else on that computer. Oh, here's the speed test that is beautiful on that computer. It's Dragon Naturally Speaking. I was in his office yesterday watching him do his dictation. It is fast. He does amazing dictation, doing all these big words that I don't know. You know, he's a chiropractor. He's reading out his dictation, and he's speaking faster than a conversation would be. He's speaking faster than I'm speaking to you right now, and Dragon Naturally Speaking is totally keeping up with him. If his computer has a speed problem, Dragon Naturally Speaking is going to show it. And there's been no speed complaint at all during this period of good computer, bad computer, separated by that power outage instance. Dragon Naturally Speaking is working perfectly. There's no complaints about that at all. So, no, the computer's working fine. You didn't mention if you power cycled the problematic computer. Yes, we have done that multiple times at this point. And power cycle, as in shut the computer down, unplug it from power for 2 minutes, plug it back in, turn it back on. That's my definition of a power cycle. Oops, I gotta keep remembering to do the push live. Push live. Now, that question was from Selden Ball. There's probably many other things I've done that I haven't mentioned here. Here for a half hour. Oh, it's time to end. Sorry, Ken. All right, here I'm ending very, very quickly, and